Here's a really disturbing story involving a 13-year-old who was sexually assaulted by a 41-year-old. This took place in the UK, and the presiding judge was Judge Nigel Peters. And the judge actually called, listen carefully here, the girl, the 13-year-old girl, a predator. Not the 41-year-old, the 13-year-old girl. Nigel Peters, the judge, gave a suspended sentence to 41-year-old Neil Wilson after he pled guilty to making extreme pornographic images and one count of sexual activity with a 13-year-old girl. The judge explained, well, why were you so lenient about this? The judge said, it stems from the fact that the girl was predatory and was egging you on, you referring to the 41-year-old assaulter in this particular case. And during the trial, the prosecution touted this story that, listen, the girl was sexually experienced. She didn't look 13. She looked more like she was 14 or 15, and she kind of had a mental age of 14 or 15, even though she was younger than that. And there was sexual activity, but it wasn't Mr. Wilson's doing. It was kind of forced upon him by the 13-year-old girl. Now, before I kind of get to the commentary on this, which is completely absurd, law enforcement, as a point of note, just so you know, law enforcement also found a stash of images and videos depicting child abuse and bestiality in Wilson's home. But it's the 13-year-old girl somehow who is the predator. 41-year-old has child porn in his house. He's 28 years older than a minor. And it's the victim who is being blamed as predatory and having egged on sexual activity. Are we putting aside the fact for a second that even if it is true that the 13-year-old, for whatever reasons, whatever is in her personal background, was preying on a 41-year-old, the 41-year-old is an adult. Shouldn't he know not to have sexual contact with a 13-year-old girl? In other words, now if a 5-year-old were to come up to me and try to make a sexual advance and I don't stop it, listen, it's not my fault. I mean, I understand I'm 29 years old, but the 5-year-old girl was making moves on me. It is my responsibility as the adult to know that that is a crime and that that is wrong. Are we also ignoring the fact that even if our 41-year-old friend Neil did think that the girl was 15 instead of 13, the age of consent in the UK is still 16. And in fact, it's even 18 in certain types of situations. Blame the victim is not exclusive to the US. That, I think, is abundantly clear. I understand that the laws are somewhat different in the UK, but these types of blame the victim scenarios exist in the US as well. But I have, to be honest, I've never heard of the 13-year-old victim being called predatory by a judge. I encourage you to look into this story. Send me your thoughts about it. And it's, I mean, this is not, you know, we kind of have a range of blame the victim. I think at the kind of extreme end of that would be examples like the woman in Dubai who reported a rape and was accused of not really being raped, just having sex outside of her marriage and then reporting a false rape to cover it up. And by the way, since she had sex outside of marriage, she's got to go to jail. She's now been, some kind of negotiation took place where she is out, but that's kind of at one extreme end of the spectrum of blame the victim. I don't know that this is that far from that. It sounds a little less distant to Western culture because it's, you know, it's a judge, the type of judge we're familiar with and the system we're more familiar with. But this is really not that far from those scenarios that we've talked about from the Middle East. Send me your thoughts about it.